Welcome to Two Poor Artists, where we're poor at jumping on the bandwagon, but mostly we're poor at making art. My name is Isaac.
And my name is Benj. And today we're drawing the title Bandwagon, because at this time of the year, as Super Bowl is approaching, you find so many fans. Or should we even call them fans?
I don't think you can. They're just kind of like people that come out of the woodwork and out of dark alleyways.
Like, why are there so many people in Arizona that care about these two teams?
Yeah, like why do I suddenly see people wearing like Eagles jerseys and
It's like
Chiefs stuff at the grocery store?
when the Super Bowl was, Cardinals versus Steelers, you didn't see anyone being like, it should have been the Eagles in it,
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think, there's just so many dishonest folks this time of year that are like, I really care about the Chiefs winning this year. I really care about the Eagles winning. It's like, you didn't care.
I've always been a fan.
Yeah.
It's like, but have you?
You didn't care one bit last week. But, I think that's what this Sunday is to prepare for. It's the Sunday before the Super Bowl, and it's people who are like, everyone's at church, and they're like, so who are you going to root for in the Super Bowl? And they're like, well, I'm a humongous 100% supporter of the Chiefs. Check out my Chiefs, jersey that I wore to church today. And they're like, you never ever spoken to me about the Chiefs. And they're like, I'm sure I've mentioned it every minute of every day.
If you weren't talking about them in whatever game they had to win to get in the Super Bowl, then you really, you can't start caring about them now.
And, let's be honest. Most people are like, I was rooting for the team that the Chiefs beat, so now I'm an Eagles fan. Or, vice versa,
Yeah. And it's like, at least they're more honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really a Chiefs fan, but I'm an anti-Eagles fan.
Yeah, but that's not how they portray it. They're like, I really care about this, quarterback on this team that I looked up his name last week.
Yeah.
We're not sports people, but we understand the concept of jumping on the bandwagon.
Right.
And it's just despicable.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone does it to some extent, of course.
You're all going to have an opinion next week.
Because the big game is the one that matters.
Yes, indeed.
We've all done it, all of us nerd fans know the people that jump on the bandwagon with the superhero movies when they come out. And it's just like, I've always been an Iron Man fan. It's like
you didn't even
care about him.
Never even
Robert Downey Jr. played.
Yeah, tell me one thing about him, and you're like, people do those to superhero things. It makes true nerds like us upset. They're like, well, tell me something about Iron Man, and they're like, well, in that one movie, this happened. Well, that's just the movie.
Yeah,
that's not even you're missing the 50 years of comics and the obscure 80s cartoons.
Right.
You know nothing of this character.
It's like when the Guardians came out. It's like no one, the reason they made a movie about the Guardians
of the Galaxy.
No one knew the comic books.
Yeah.
They were not popular characters. And so they're like, let's do these characters because we can ruin them and no one will care.
I am 100% certain that everyone who has been in the last 10 years has been like, I'm a really big Star-Lord fan. You're not. You're just a really big Chris Pratt fan.
Right, exactly.
And you know nothing about Star-Lord.
Yeah, and it's fair if you I really liked that movie, so then you went and read all the comics.
Yeah, and you still like the character.
Yeah, it's like now you are an actual.
But most Iron Man fans are just really big Robert Downey Jr. fans.
Which is fair because he's great, and he improved the character, I will say.
Yeah, because he was
Iron Man was not the best superhero character, and now he is one of the best superhero characters.
Yes, but you have to admit you jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
You people who weren't nerds that now think you are nerds but still aren't nerds. Yeah, you disgust me.
If you want to say you're an Iron Man fan, you have to at least have watched the 90s cartoon.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum, right? And there are people who are Spider-Man fans. I think that's a little easier to be because there's just been Spider-Man stuff for the last 30 or 40, 50 years.
Even if you've never picked up a comic, you've been watching Spider-Man.
Did you watch The Electric Company? Because Spider-Man was on there.
Yeah.
And if you're a Spider-Man fan, maybe that's where it started.
Yeah.
150 years ago.
And then the 90s cartoon. There's been cartoons since then too.
3 sets of movies. You have a chance of being a Spider-Man fan having never picked up a comic book.
Right.
You don't really understand. And that's the thing. People are always like, why do you like this character? And I'm like, well, because they're like this in the comics. And they're like, well, that's not how they are in the movies. And I'm like, yeah, That's why us nerds are always upset.
Yep.
Always upset at movies.
And I mean, to be fair, when it comes to nerd themes, which we've gone way off topic.
See, this is the problem. We don't want to talk about sports. Don't want to talk about sports. Anything nerdy.
When it comes to nerd themes, you have the issue even in the comics. Because there's so many different writers. Like, like Superman comics.
Yeah.
They've been around for so long.
Oh, yeah.
It's
pushing 100 years.
Yeah. Like, and with so many different writers and stuff, it's like, even when you're talking to other nerds, and it's like, oh, they did the Superman character wrong in the movie, and then you're like, but compared to what?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was exactly the same as this comic.
You have to pick like a decade of Superman. You're like, I'm a really big 90s Superman fan, or I'm a really big 80s or 70s Superman fan.
Like that mullet, long hair Superman from the 90s.
Oh, he was so
super
cool.
Edgy,
so cool.
Black suit.
Yeah, no, he was like the Batman of Superman.
Like, there's so many different versions that it's like, even when you're talking to another fan, it's like you can both have a favorite character for opposite reasons, and you hate each other's version of the character.
See, I wonder now if this is how sports fan people feel when someone's like, I'm a big Chiefs fan, and they're like, oh, so like, what'd you think about this guy from the 1994 team? And they're like, they were a team in 1994? And you're like, oh, you're not really a fan.
Yeah, you haven't been following the coaches and the players for...
Yeah, you can't just have one player on your...
feel the betrayal when that player left our team.
Exactly, right?
Like you get those like really big fans where they're like, no, I hate the Eagles because my favorite player left my team.
Yeah, and this guy's like the third cousin of this guy who used to play on the team back in the 80s, and so we hate them. Yeah, because they should have. And you're like, oh man,
or that's the son of the coach that beat our team that one time.
And you're like, I'm so sorry for the way that you are. That you've put so much effort and so much of your like mental capacity has gone into memorizing facts about sports when it could have been done. You could have used think about comic book characters, right? Like, could have been something worthwhile.
That's something fictional.
That's how I feel about all sports people. I'm like, you wasted your time with something boring and real.
You could have been playing video games.
Yeah, right. Like, let's talk about the deep lore of the Legend of Zelda series and how the timeline doesn't actually match up at all. Which timeline? Is it a new timeline in the new games? Because it certainly doesn't match up with the timeline.
Or is it somehow all three timelines combined again?
Yeah, it's disgraceful. But you only know that if you're a real nerd.
Yes,
we've talked about this, and again, I'm just getting off topic here, but we've talked about it so many times. We are real nerds.
I'm gonna break off again and go back to Bandwagon about Legend of Zelda.
Oh yes, okay, thank you, because I was just about to say, there's so many Zelda fans now that think they're Zelda fans, but they're not.
Like, I really hate the new Legend of Zelda games.
Yeah, the new ones. They are the worst two Zelda games ever made. I
don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay, there's
you want Zelda 2.
Yeah,
like Legend of Zelda 2.
Pretty bad.
Was pretty like, I enjoyed it.
And if you're nerdy enough to understand that there was a video game console back in the 80s called the Philips CDI system.
Yes.
And they were
talk about that.
And they were allowed this Philips video game system. If you're like, Philips, the company that makes like crappy electronics now. Yeah, like that company had a video game system.
Most known for their VCRs.
They had a video game system, and I guess Nintendo felt pity on them because they're like, oh, what, you guys want to use Mario and Zelda and Link and stuff in a couple of games?
The Mario games were bad too.
They were really bad.
The Zelda games were just the worst.
Yeah.
They made two games.
Two Zelda games for the Philips CDI. Go look up the videos sometime.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're hilarious. And it's funny because then Nintendo made a TV show
based on
the CDI, based on the worst version.
Which is just...
it's so bad. It's so funny.
It is.
Yeah. So those are so much worse.
But then the Nintendo Switch came out. And they had Breath of the Wild, which I liked Breath of the Wild. It wasn't a Zelda game.
Yeah. It was like something else.
It was it
was a decent game, but just calling it a Legend of Zelda game made me have to dislike it.
Because it took
so
the
much
whole
worse.
formula of what made every Legend of Zelda game great, and it threw it all out the window.
Like, from the first Legend of Zelda game, they've had the same formula, which is you go through dungeons, you get items halfway through the dungeon, which unlocks new parts of the game and the areas.
And but
like
now
some people call it the Metroid style game, because Metroid also did that. But Legend of Zelda has always done it also.
Yes, and then Breath of the Wild came out, and they're like, "Why don't you?" Now the thing is, you can explore the whole game from the very start.
You could go beat the first boss first.
You could go run to the final boss and beat him with a stick that you picked up at the beginning of the game. And it was an interesting game that did a lot of things right, but it's not Zelda. But you have all these people now that run around saying, "I'm a Legend of Zelda fan," and the only game they've ever played is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You're like, you're not Zelda fans.
Right, yeah, like these aren't Zelda games.
No.
Like these are something else.
Yeah.
With some, the characters aren't even the same.
No, like you can be a fan
Zelda
of those.
is very different. Link is very different.
You can be a fan of those games. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But you are not Legend of Zelda fans. You've jumped on the bandwagon.
Right. So true. Because they're so different. Plus, they ruined like there was like a timeline and story, and these games purposefully ruined those.
It's true.
So any like real fan of Legend of Zelda was just like,
if you've ever had something that you really liked that was in like rebooted or redone, and you're like, this just isn't the same as it was at all. You understand the feeling of this,
right? Especially if it's like you've had it where it's rebooted and redone, and it's worse, but then everyone likes it more.
Yeah, and you're like, you're just
and
wrong.
You're like, you were never a fan in the first place.
It's kind of like when you're watching sports. I don't actually watch sports, but I understand the concept. You're watching sports, and you're like, I am a really big fan of the Chiefs. And then the Super Bowl rolls around, and you've got your Steeler fan buddy who's like, I'm a really big fan of the Chiefs. And you're like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Get off my wagon.
You're just not.
You and your whole band. You know?
I should probably start drawing.
Yeah, but like, what are we going to draw now? We're going to draw Zelda? Because that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. like, I feel like
Are you saying this is the first time we've ever just changed the title?
Well, I mean, like, we're going to draw Bandwagon, but do we have to draw sports? Like, man, I really don't know if I want to.
Yeah, so the title
Bandwagon.
Bandwagon.
That's an open,
and is that,
open title.
Is that one word?
I think it is.
I mean, just
A quick Google search will reveal the truth.
I'll start drawing either way. I mean, clearly, I'm going to draw a wagon.
It is one word.
So I'm going to start off with,
According to the Oxford Dictionary,
A wagon
it is
wheel.
used in reference to an activity, cause, etc., that is currently fashionable or popular and attracting increasing support.
yeah, but see, that makes it sound like a positive thing.
I know, right?
Like, it's not. Like, no one thinks of bandwagon as a positive thing.
No, they don't.
Like, jumping on the bandwagon is like an insult.
Yeah, it's true. There's a Wikipedia page, not about bandwagon, but the bandwagon effect. It is a psychological phenomena where people adopt certain behaviors, styles, or attitudes simply because others are doing it. See, that makes it sound kind of bad.
Yeah.
You know, like peer pressure, like the thing our generation was greatly warned about.
Told not to do.
Yeah,
but
and then
maybe bandwagon was just like a normal good thing in the past.
Yeah,
and now because of the whole peer pressure is bad thing.
I kind of feel like
a bad thing.
I kind of feel like, you know, like oppressive governments and kings and queens of tyranny are really into bandwagoning.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's probably where it gets his name.
They must.
You know, like back when wagons were a thing and kings were a thing.
I feel like bandwagon must get its term from like people following bands. Like, we didn't talk about that. We talked about sports and video games.
Yeah, it's true.
And movies. But like, I'm guessing it was like a band. Like, you know, like they would win like a contest of banding, and people
What
would
does that even mean? A contest of banding? That sounds like someone bandaged you up really well and they won the contest.
Like abandoned.
They stopped the bleeding in 3.2 seconds.
Avanon.
Oh, that's different. Yeah. According to Wikipedia, the phenomenon where ideas become adopted as a result of their popularity has been around since 1848.
That's quite some time.
Did you know there's a literal thing called a bandwagon? One word. It is a wagon that carries a musical ensemble or band.
Right.
during a parade or circus.
So, like, was jumping on the bandwagon, like the people literally jump on the bandwagon as like
It seems to have become popular during the 1948 presidential campaign of Zachary Taylor and Dan Rice, a famous and popular circus clown of the time.
ooh.
Oh, Dan Rice. He was a circus clown turned politician. That is. Yeah, he was. He was a circus clown in the Civil War. He was a household name, Dan Rice. He coined such terms as a one-horse show and the greatest show.
Oh, like the movie.
Yeah. He also ran for president of the United States.
Oh.
As you do when your clowning days are over. Mm-hmm.
If you say so.
There was a biographer in
Like,
2001.
can you imagine if he won? Like, people already like will be like, "Oh, the president's such a clown."
Uh-huh. Like he invented,
Like, what if
he
he
invented
was?
expressions like, yeah.
Like, can you imagine if the president was an actual clown?
So when he ran, Rice campaigned for Zachary Taylor after I guess he decided he couldn't be president,
Because he was a clown?
and he invited. Wait, oh no. Rice campaigned for Zachary Taylor as president, inviting him to campaign on the circus bandwagon. Like, he's like, hey, I've got this wagon that the circus band normally goes on. Why don't you hop up there and ride through the town and tell the people about why you want to be president? And that became known as jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, and the term one-horse show, is because in his early days as an entertainer, he was very down on his luck and poor, and he only had one horse. And his competitors mocked him, saying that if you went to go see him, you were just going to go see a one-horse show. And,
Wow.
yeah.
What kind of mockings did
Yeah.
they have back
They
then?
were really bad at mocking, apparently, you know?
Look at all of our horses.
Who are you going to go see? Us with our menagerie of horses, or the clown with his one-horse show?
Like, it's just an like, it's literally like a snobby.
I
Like,
know, right? As they adjusted their monocles, jingled their money back.
no
a
one's
little.
ever gonna vote for someone who only has
One horse. There's like like a rich snobby laugh,
Yeah.
you know, as they sip their brandy, you know. Oh gosh, to be rich. I wish
I
we
can't
could
wait till we
have
have
a snobby rich artist.
multiple.
Yeah. We can mock other artists openly. Oh,
You only have one saggy
what
button.
is that? Oh, your hotel only has one buffet. That's just mocking lesser artist hotel owners. You know, we'll get to that point too. Not this year though. What the heck is that? I've just looked at the drawing for the first time. My head has been filled with the images of clowns and presidents being mocked by the political elite.
Well, you've heard of like one man bands.
Yes,
Right.
but I have not heard
This,
of the.
this is going to be like a one wagon band.
Why is he balanced atop a beach ball jellyfish?
It's a wagon wheel.
Is that so?
You know, this is like here.
What
I'll
are
cut
the-
this in. I might make it.
What are
better.
the tassels?
Well, they're
They're like tentacles.
like in reality, they're just hitting him in the butt.
Oh yeah, no, you can see that.
But like,
He is also a very tiny man.
yeah. But like in theory, they're like hitting the drum or something. But
Uh-huh.
like they're not. They're
No.
like this is one of those scenes where it's like whoever designed the instrument was like, here, I'm gonna put these things on the wheels so they hit the drum as they go by. But it's like the person on the wheel.
Does he run on the
Yeah, he
wheel?
runs on
and
the
it
wheel.
just repeatedly smacks him in the butt.
Yeah, because it was supposed to like hit the drum, but it's like
Huh.
it doesn't. Like there's no way it does.
Does it make a sound? Is it Like,
Does it
does
hit
it
the
add
butt?
to the musical?
Yeah, I mean, it makes like the slapping of a butt sound.
Oh, yes. Everyone loves that in their music. I love the way he plays the butt. You could really hear it.
Someone's got to
Slap it in F major. That's a musical note term, I think. I don't actually know what F major sounds like. I don't know if a butt slap could be an F major. If you're a music person, could you tell us? Is it possible?
Macaron and cheese.
Macaron and cheese.
Or
keys. Yeah.
Not cheese. That's the
Do you think the spanking of a bottom could be in F major? You know? What is that? It's like a Dr. Seuss instrument. Is that what you already said? Yeah.
It's gonna be like Dr. Seuss had multiple like wagon-like instruments.
Speaking of people and politics, that's how Dr. Seuss got his start, doing political cartoons, like of Hitler and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good way to get our video banned from YouTube.
That's what Dr. Seuss was most known for. Don't you know? Not his very popular characters and books.
No. You know, he inspired this clown boy, man, Dan Rice. Mm-hmm. He inspired people that by the early 1900s, it was common for presidential campaigns to use bandwagons.
Oh, bandwagons.
But then it became... They'd become standard in campaigns, and the phrase "jump on the bandwagon" was used as a derogatory term. There they are, those snobby rich politician view. Just
people just hopping on the bandwagon.
Look at them and they're one horse on the bandwagon. What's the matter? You couldn't afford an automobile. They go by and they're like honk honk, their little horn on their humongous Buick that took up a whole city block. Mm-hmm. But man, to be a snobby 1900s early 1900s politician, that's the dream. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is all of our dream.
Yeah, we want to be snobby Mr. Monopoly artists. Mm-hmm. You show up at our hotel and we're just like, "What's that you're wearing color? What's the matter? Get the shirt at the toilet store."
Shirt at the toilet store.
And then we just chuckle to ourselves and clink our pens together.
Here, this one,
gold-plated pen.
The designer actually thought about it first.
There's a second person now. He's just balanced atop of the horn.
Yeah, and you're probably how's the horn being held up?
Yeah, it seems oddly front heavy.
That's how all Dr. Seuss instruments are.
Yeah, it's true.
You're just how. Mm-hmm. And this is also a drum.
Is this a bandwagon?
Well,
because it has wagon wheels.
It is a band wagon. The wagon itself.
Does this count as? I don't know a whole lot about wagons, having grown up, not on Little House on the Prairie times. Mm-hmm. But is this what wagons look like?
Well, what's the definition of a wagon?
I really don't know.
This has wagon wheels. Is that all that's needed, or do I need to add something to make it this is clearly a wagon?
So according to Oxford Language Dictionary, it is just a vehicle used for transporting goods or another specific purpose.
I'd say this is a pretty specific purpose.
Everything is a wagon. Every vehicle is just a wagon by this definition.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Because that lets me do whatever I want. And that's what I like. I like being able to just do whatever I want.
Your bicycle is a wagon by this definition, if you're using it to transport literally anything.
Or any other specific purpose.
It's a very generic definition. Wait, is he also on this? What are these people? Are they gnomes? Why does that one look derpy?
Don't they all look derpy?
They all look derpy, but that one particularly, his face looks like he's been smushed. This is straight out of Dr. Seuss, though. If Dr. Seuss was man enough to do nose first style.
Yep.
Dr. Seuss has the problem of like not drawing noses on his people.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of nose first style. And if they do have noses, they're like tiny noses.
They're like cat noses. They're like smushed back in the face. These tiny little things.
See, this part interesting because it's bells, and like this guy can pull the string to move the bells, but also like as you blow into that,
It jingles the...
jingles
What
the
is
bells.
that? Is it bells?
Yeah, they're bells.
It's like olives.
So blowing this jingles the bells, but also this guy jingles the bells.
And there is a lot to observe.
But you said for it to be a wagon, it has to be pulling something.
I
So
don't think I said that. I think it has to be transporting something.
transporting something.
It's transporting them and the joy of music. But if you want it to be pulled... Wait, it is pulling something?
It's transporting something.
Like a child's wagon? Like a red flyer?
Yeah, it's just like pulling behind, and it just has like...
Contact lens. Oh, no, that is not a... What is that?
Just
Ooh, it's
like an instrument.
it's the Horn of Gondor.
This is like a drum.
No, it's not. It's just not. That's like a sugar cane.
That's from the side.
Just skinny drum. It's like a snail.
Like this is a drum. Here, maybe I'll make it a little bit more drum-like, so you can tell.
I would appreciate that. I think the people at home would too. Yeah, the nose
So like
first.
the guy built this one first, and he's like, "Wait, that doesn't really hit the drum. That hits the guy walking on it."
Yeah.
So then he made this one.
Yeah. It
That-
plays the...
That does hit the drum.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And then this, I guess this isn't big enough, like thick enough for someone to stand on. So let's make it...
Oh yes, that was my major.
Realistic.
That was my major problem with this instrument bandwagon thing.
Let's see. Should I add anything else to this? To this here
Perhaps a name and age.
wagon? Okay, we'll give it the title.
I think if someone was like, "What's that called?" and you're like, "It's a bandwagon," they'd be like, "Oh," and I mean, that'd be it.
Yeah, like that's what it is.
Unless, of course, they're like, and you know.
And it's transporting goods.
Unless, of course, they live down on Fifth Avenue in New York City and they're smoking their pipe in their dinner jackets, and then they'd say, "Ho, ho, ho, a bandwagon? My dear chap, do you not understand the mediocrity in such a ridiculous vehicle?
Look at this zero horses.
Zero horses, tut-tut, back.
Zero horse show.
Yes, back to the manor, Jeeves. Take us at warp speed." Yeah, that's pretty much how that's rich folks talk. I imagine.
What is this? Man-powered?
Yes.
Walking?
And then they all, they look at each other because they travel in packs. The weirdly elite, rich snobs.
Yeah. I'll save this drawing.
Yes.
While you distract the fine folks at home.
Yes, indeed. It is time for the part of the show where Isaac comes out and sings a silly song. Except I don't really want to get in trouble with the VeggieTales people. So if I sing a silly song, like an actual, because there are silly songs, but I don't think I should infringe upon certain copyrights. I will invite you, though, to think of the sound this bandwagon would make rolling down the street. At what speed would you call the police if you heard this thing rolling down your street, It's like an ice cream truck, but much worse.
And, it has to sound bad. The best sounding thing is probably the butt slap.
Just imagine, if you will, opening your window to the sound of butts being slapped in F major.
You got, multiple drums. You got a cymbal, bells, some horn that has to be too loud.
I mean, that thing has got to shake the windows of every, residence. And then you're just like, what's that it's towing?
And then plus just like every time one of these hits the ground, like it's going to make a sound.
Remember those like clack things that you used to have as a kid, like the plastic clackers, and you used to shake them back
I have
and
a kid
forth?
on one of my bus that plays with those every day.
Oh, see? I'm glad to hear they haven't gone by the wayside. Bandwagon.
Yeah.
All right. What was that?
I mean, I just drew the literal title.
I know.
Like, there was no pun. There was no... It was just... You hear Bandwagon, this is what you picture.
Yeah, but like, what do
And that's what I drew.
What do I draw?
Yeah. I feel like I took the main thing.
The main pun, right?
Well, was it even a pun? It was just it.
Because, like, I mean, look at that thing. Like, that is a bandwagon.
When someone says Bandwagon, this is what I picture.
But, like, I want you to imagine for a minute, like, this thing rolling down your street, like we said. Mm-hmm. You know, what would be your response?
Well, I mean, there's the phrase, right?
You jump on the bandwagon.
Jump on the bandwagon.
So you're, like, joining up with the band?
Mm-hmm.
Are you, though? Because I wouldn't.
Would you be, like, jumping on the bandwagon for a different purpose? Or would you be, like, running away from the bandwagon?
So, like, we've established this is a bandwagon.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like, it's not, like I said, it's not really a pun or anything. It's just, this is what a bandwagon is.
It is what it is.
Like, I am sure that story you read about the guy running for president, whatever his name was, like, this is just what he had. Yeah. It must have been.
No wonder the snobs were snobbing.
Yeah, they're like, look at that presidential candidate getting hit in the butt over and over.
In the F major of all things. Good show, old boy. Good show. I don't know why they're all strangely British in their snobbery, but
all snobbish people are British.
I think they must be.
That's just the rule. And like, you think there wasn't any British people like running for presidency?
No, there definitely was.
So they could reclaim our land.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. By now, they must have given up.
Something's happened to this bandwagon.
It's what happens. It's not that it's changed. It's like that's just how it works. Like as you're riding and playing it, it just kind of changes in shape slightly.
It's very Dr. Seuss of it. Like, how did Dr.
That's not all Dr. Seuss things were, because like you didn't want to have to draw it more than once.
No,
like
yeah, exactly. So you just are like, that's the way it is.
Yeah, it wiggles. It kind of it's just it's a weird thing.
And it was.
Yeah, so it's like clearly you're drawing
A bandwagon.
like the same thing. The bandwagon. I want to. Like, are you gonna draw? Are you gonna attempt nose first style, or are you gonna draw different people on yours? Or are you not gonna draw anybody on yours? Yours is an abandoned bandwagon.
Well, I mean, you'll see what has become of this.
I'm pretty sure where that hole now is, there was a person standing.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like you'll get the gist eventually. What does a drum look like? You drew a very weird looking drum.
Yeah, I drew weird things. That's I'm not gonna deny that.
So Bench, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl?
Who's in it again?
You know how a couple of years ago we drew the Eagles and the Chiefs for the Super Bowl?
I remember I drew a chef eating an eagle.
And I drew something related to a chef instead of a chief. And we had the guy who holds the coach back by the britches,
Oh, yeah.
so he doesn't run onto the field because they have zero self-control.
That was pretty good.
Anyway, my point is the Chiefs and the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl
Oh.
again, because
So I mean, they must be pretty good to be in it.
I mean,
Twice in the time that we've been doing this.
that or they're just, Taylor Swift dating the teams as she does. I find it impressive that Taylor Swift hasn't already broken up with them.
Yeah, has she written no new songs?
I guess not. She's just touring.
Yeah, she must not need to write any new songs yet.
Okay.
Like she must be too famous on her
This
current.
is like a bandwagon, right?
Do we know? I mean, I'm sure someone knows who won last time the Chiefs and the Eagles were here.
You know who doesn't know? Us.
Yeah, but my answer to your question is whoever won last time, that's who I want to win this time also. I don't root for underdogs. I think if you're the better team, you should just always be the better team.
Ah.
Like I like the idea of like there being someone like I like to root for the best. You know, it's like when Michael Jordan played basketball.
Yeah. Like
I didn't pay attention because I was either too young or dead or
like,
not alive yet.
That's a good point. Neither,
but I would have rooted for him.
So I think you're advocating for jumping on the bandwagon. Is that what I'm hearing? Like you're a big fan of like whoever's the best, everyone should be that person's fan.
Basically.
Yeah, like
I mean, like not 100% jumping on the bandwagon. Like you should just always have been.
Because but here's the thing: why do people watch sports? Because apparently it's fun. I don't understand that. But is it fun to be like, I'm a Cardinals fan? We're here in Arizona. It is not fun. You see Cardinals fans, they're always sad. You know?
I don't.
They're always sad until they jump on the bandwagon of another team because they never win. You know?
Right. But see, it's not even that I care about the winning or losing. I just think, like, if someone's the best, like, I don't like to see the best lose. I like to see the best do the best.
Yeah.
Because, like, when it's like, oh, this person's clearly the best at something, it's like you're watching who's the best at something?
Simone Biles in gymnastics.
Apparently. You're watching her gymnast, and people...
Is that the verb? She's gymnasting?
The problem with gymnastics is that it's like, people just judge them.
Okay,
but whatever.
Michael Phelps. There. Yeah, you're right. It's very subjective.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not the most subjective. It's not breakdancing or something. But yeah, so like Michael Phelps, like if someone beats him, like that can be cool. But at the same time, you're just like, well, Michael Phelps just had a bad day. Like he didn't beat Michael Phelps' record.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, or like Simone Biles. It's like if someone beats her, it's like, well, yeah, but she just didn't make that flip that she normally makes. It's like. If they're the best, like now, if someone new comes on and is now the new best, now it's like you want them to win because like they've proven they're the best now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I'm used to like nerd stuff, right? Like I don't want Superman to lose to anybody. He's the best. He's not supposed to lose. That's the point. So I approach that same idea with sports. It's like I don't want to see some underdog win. I want to see the best be the best, doing their best.
Oh yes, those words in a sentence. I just want you to picture the bandwagon coming down the street, and it's like a Sunday afternoon.
So, like, did you just apply like real physics to my, like, is this just what would happen?
I mean, as much as that's what it seems like,
falls apart. Like the second you start riding it, just snaps.
No. I want you to picture an angry mob.
Okay.
An angry mob of people who have heard that the bandwagon has arrived on their street.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, my Sunday afternoons of tranquility and naps.
That president.
Yeah, so they what do? They storm the streets and they jump on the bandwagon.
Oh, well,
they jump on it. They do not rest. They do not show mercy. They jump on the bandwagon. It's a brutal.
Ooh, I see the pun. So they're not jumping on the bandwagon in the sense that they're joining it.
This guy's really I really don't want to draw the rest of it.
Yeah, I like this choice. Like, where's he coming? Where are any of them coming from? It's like
they're like ninjas. They waited on their roofs for the bandwagon to get close enough.
That guy, he maybe just jumped. I mean, who knows how high he can jump with those legs,
right? Like, he has reached new heights of jumpage, and it's just, They're jumping on the
So
bandwagon.
they're like it's like the opposite. Like they're not jumping on the bandwagon to join it.
No, they're jumping on it to destroy it.
I think I knows first people alive.
I think they've fled at this point. Like they are probably.
Oh, that guy has real long legs.
Yeah, it's a weird neighborhood they've stumbled into.
It makes me wonder if that other guy
They also have
has really long legs. We just don't see them.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, how high up does it go?
And how far are these legs? Like we don't even see like any.
It's hard to. It's a hard perspective.
Like, are we even seeing the knees yet?
Yeah, right. Like, who knows? Guess those ones are facing the same way. Just falling.
Well, isn't that the more natural way?
Yeah, it is. These guys are pigeon-toed,
Just
jumping on the bandwagon.
jump and point their toes away. Your bells look even more like grapes than mine.
Yes, they do. That's what I was going for. I was like, how did he draw the bells? Like grapes. I better do it right. This is just, I guess, the street.
Yeah, I guess so.
These people. This is they're real big.
Yeah.
People must be. Or maybe that. I mean, if they were,
Did you see how small my people were?
people were just like really
People were
tiny.
in this thing.
Yeah, yeah. My people are.
These people, like their feet are like the size of my whole bodies of my.
There's just like dents in the thing, and you know, it's in
Man,
pieces.
you hated my drawing.
No, I just imagined how people would respond to it. You know, I went historical, and I was like, how did people in the past respond to bandwagons? They didn't like them. You know, they mocked them. Some people, I imagine the rich people were like, hire some peasants to jump upon the bandwagon. They're like, you mean in the sense of the term you've coined that means it's a bad thing to join the opposing opinion just because no, literally jump on the band. I want my newspapers that I own's headline to say people jump on the bandwagon because people jumped on the bandwagon. You know, it's like a great, you know, because all rich people own newspapers too. It's just a thing. You know, you watch enough movies.
How else do you control the thoughts of the public?
Exactly, right? So anyway,
I'm just glad you didn't draw any like horses.
no horses, just broken bandwagon thing. I'm not even sure how to make this more broken. Your people
drew like a dent. Like
that's
my
the dent.
wheel wasn't solid.
I mean, no, like it's hard to tell what's actually been broken on this because of how you drew it originally. And
No, but I'm just saying, like you're like drawing like
this wagon has
you're
become
like drawing
detached.
extra thickness to parts of the wagon wheel.
Well, I mean, they've added. Maybe before your nose first people ran away, they're like, reinforce the bandwagon! You know, quick!
We see them coming.
Those
walls. They'll be here real. They'll be about sooner than
We
you
see
think.
them on the rooftops! But we can't stop!
They just stepped up onto the roofs.
A single step! These people are real creepy.
Like they're skinny.
Like,
too.
I really wanted...
Their
like,
leg is skinnier, I think, than my people's legs were.
they're like Mike TV in Willy Wonka after he's been stretched on the, you know, stretching machine.
Yeah.
Like, this is like his family.
Like that affected his genetics.
Yes, I don't know, man.
So sorry for him.
What sound does a bandwagon make? It's just like a onk. Bleh. Zonk. It's just the sounds it's making as they're jumping on it.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Just like random. Like you're not playing it correctly.
No, not at all. They're not blowing into this anymore. They're just stomping upon it, and it's
it's just making random weird noises.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
This oddly enough
immediately
is
also
playing-
made it not even a wagon. And
No, it's not.
It's not pulling any.
Well, they've
It's
snipped
severed.
They've snipped the. I don't know. Oh yeah, this part was like there was a part here severed.
Oh, yeah, that was a drum.
There's a
That
couple
was
of
there.
couple of the spankers have broken loose.
Yep.
One's flying off this direction, and it's gonna spank this guy. It's gonna.
Is it gonna reach?
It will. I can assure you.
It's going real fast. We don't know how high up it needs to go.
See, like I drew these legs so we wouldn't have to see the people, but now I really want to draw these people.
Well, you don't have. There's not a paper.
No, there's not. You know,
You drew them starting from the bottom.
it's gonna have to be in a different future drawing. I'm gonna have to bring back the mic.
way farther zoomed out.
Yeah, like you know, like them stepping up on their houses or something. Like this would be a fun drawing to do, like a zoomed out version of.
Yeah.
You know.
Or get like a really big paper.
Yeah, exactly. Turn it portrait style. And then you still can't see them, and you're like, "What are these?
How far do they go?
What is the street have they wandered upon?"
You just show them like stepping up onto their houses,
Yeah,
but like you still don't see the top of the
but
leg.
just like let this be a warning to people about bandwagoning. You know, bandwagoning is frowned upon sometimes. I feel like the government's real big into it.
Right.
They're like, you know, join the government bandwagon. We're your pal. And then all this people are like, no, let's stomp upon it. Jump upon it. Jump on the bandwagon. You know, but then like people do it all the time with movies. Movie comes out. Everyone's on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think there's an appropriate form of bandwagon. Like if a new person becomes a new best at something and you're like, oh, now I'm a fan of them because they've proven, it's like you're watching fighting or whatever, MMA, and it's like someone beat the old best and they're now the new best. And you're like, well, now they're the best.
So what I think you're hinting at here is that the issue we have with bandwagoning today, right now, in this moment, is that we haven't determined who won the Super Bowl yet.
Right.
You can't jump on the bandwagon of two teams hoping that one is going to be the best. You have to wait until one has been crowned champion, and then you can be a fan of theirs.
Yeah, it's also hard with like sports like football because like who is the best?
The referees choose.
Was there like there was a point in time, I believe, where there was like a best team.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
Where like our whole childhood were the best.
Because they won a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like anytime they didn't win, you're like, but is the team actually better than the Patriots?
See, I think our society has gone the other way. I think people start hating teams because they do well.
Right, yeah.
Which is weird because they don't do that with individuals.
It's like the opposite of bandwagoning, where they're like they want to root for the underdog.
Yeah.
And it's like, but why?
Yeah. It's weird because we were talking about the Olympics earlier. We have friends that are sports friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, as much as they can be our friends and like sports, like we like the part of them that don't like sports.
Right.
But the fact, like the art parts of them, but they, when the Olympics were around, are like really big into rooting for the best athletes, even if they're not American, you know? But then the Super Bowl comes around and people are like, I hate this team because they're always winning. I hate a dynasty or a leg, like, and it's like, but you love that when it's individuals competing.
Yeah.
So like, you got to make up your mind, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because for me, I say the best team should win because they're the best.
Yeah.
And if they don't win, everyone's just going to be like, it was a bad day for them or whatever. Like,
Exactly, right?
It's like, that's not like, oh, exciting, the underdogs win. Unless it's one of those rare cases where it's like, oh, they're the new best now.
Yeah.
Like for sure. Like the best team played at their best and they still lost.
Yeah, like, why are people rooting for like the best to be dethroned?
Yeah. Like that's
enjoy them.
That's only cool if it's like a new height to the sport.
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
right?
if it's a new height, then great.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, they just got old, like this new team didn't beat the record or anything.
It's usually like other people are rooting for a team to get worse.
Yeah.
They're like, we want them to get worse,
And
so
it's like,
this other second best team can be
like, I never want that. Like, I'm perfectly fine with new heights being reached.
Yeah.
And the old team that was the best is no longer the best. But I don't want them to do worse.
Yeah.
I want them to lose at their best. Mm-hmm. if they're going to lose.
Well, my drawing certainly brings new heights.
That's for sure.
Yes, it does. It is. There are new heights to be reached. We don't even know how high they go.
So I think the moral of today's story, from my perspective, is go and root for whoever's the best at anything, whatever it is. It's like I mean, you don't think that in anything else, right? It's like, you know what? I really hope this president wins because they're clearly worse in every way.
Yeah,
like they're the underdog president. Like, you want the best president to win, right?
I think like that affects you more than sports. I think the problem is people care about it in sports where it's like whoever the best is doesn't matter at all. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, but then why do people care so much?
I don't.
People care about sports more than they care about presidents.
I don't know why they care about sports. We have racked our brains our whole lives trying to figure out why people like sports. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, and if you do care so much, why do you want the worst team to win?
Exactly.
Like that makes no sense.
Why do you want and it's like I feel like there's a thing in sports too, like where if a team does really, really well, there's just a million excuses for why they're it was the referees or they spent more money than the other teams. It's like, but they're the best. Yeah. You know? Like if the refs like this team so much that they're willing to cheat for them, it's because they're the best.
Right, yeah.
You know, if a lot of people are willing to give money to this team, it's because they're the best. Yeah. You know, like, why are you hating on that?
Or it's like, oh, they just got all the best players this year because... why? Because they're the best.
Yeah, like, everyone wants to play for them.
They treat their players better. Whatever,
because if you're playing sports and the best team wants you, you're going to be like... No, you're like, yes, I want to be on the best team, you know? But then everyone hates you because you're on the best team. Yeah. And they're like, you sold out. And you're like, well, yeah.
Yeah, I joined the best team.
Think about whatever you do for a living. If you're like, I work at the grocery store. Do you work at the best grocery store? Yeah. They're like, oh, sell out. You should be working at the underdog grocery store. Right. You know, like, why? Why would anyone want that?
Like, and if you're working at a store and then someone, a much better store, comes and offers you 3 times as much money to do the same thing.
Yeah. You also don't walk into the really nice grocery store and are like, hate this store. You know, it's so much better than the other store.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, look at it.
Gosh, look at that employee smiling at me.
Yeah, seriously. I'm going to the underdog store, you know, where I gotta... Yeah, like, no one.
Yeah.
Sports ruin the mindset of a world.
Yeah.
So the world, you know, like... So... And that's why you jump upon the band. We jump on the bandwagon. Yes. You jump on it and you smash it to smithereens. With the shoes I've drawn are clearly just football ice skates.
Yeah, I could have talked about more of what you drew, but
I've been trying to figure out how to describe the shoes.
There was no need after how long.
Yeah, I realized that they're ice skates, which is, you know, if you're gonna jump or stomping, you're gonna jump on something with the intent of destroying it.
You see these things coming at you. You're my little gnome guys, and you see these coming at you with ice skates on.
They have run.
You know what they're gonna do.
They've run to the hills, and you know, like the person who sponsored their bandwagon's like, "What happened?" They're like, "Oh,
like they came."
They came.
Like, you can't outrun these things.
Oh,
look at that. Look at those legs.
You run for 5 whole minutes, and they take a step, and they've reached you.
And you don't want an ice skate giant leg stepping on you.
You don't. Everyone knows that.
The worst.
It would be the worst. So, yeah. Whoever you're going to jump on the bandwagon for this week, unless you're like one of the 12 or so actual Eagles or Chiefs fans in the world, you know, because at some point everyone jumped on the bandwagon. You know, like
you know what I hope? I hope somehow it's a tie.
Is that possible? I kind of hope they both lose.
Like, what if they go into overtime, and then like they just keep like it just can't can't end.
What I want to happen?
How many days has to go by?
Yeah, right.
Of playing before they're just like, we can't decide a winner.
See, what I want is neither team to score. Mm-hmm. So it's like no 0-0,
and then like
we're in quadruple overtime.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Players
into overtime.
are like passing out because it's day 3 of this, and they you know They've used their timeouts very wisely somehow. And you're like,
well, just eventually you run out of timeouts, and it's just like,
yeah.
It's been days.
Yeah, right? Like the sun has come up and set.
We've had players sleep while the other players are playing.
Yeah, we're on the C team.
The C team.
The water boy's in there.
But no one's scoring.
No one has scored. No one's willing.
The coach himself is kicking the field goal.
Yeah, exactly right. Like they've made exceptions to the rules just to keep the game going.
Like they call in other teams.
Yeah.
Like
they're like, we're trading our tired players for players from other teams who are still awake.
We're paying millions of dollars just to get
just to keep the game going. You know, they're like, go down to the colleges, recruit everyone. You know,
and then after
recruit them all.
And then after 6 days, they just there's no winner.
They're like, this is immoral at this point. You know, like it's immoral. We have run out of healthy adults that could play on Earth. You know, like all the football players in each of your states that have been used. You both lose.
We're calling this a tie.
Yeah, there
is no winner.
They both lose.
No one gets the ring.
They melt down all the rings and the trophy.
They donate. You know how they always have they make jerseys for both, and
I was just talking about this the other day. And they donate the rest to Africa.
They donate all of them. No one can buy, Eddie.
And the game ends with the ceremonial driving in of the bandwagon.
And the ceremonial jumping on.
The ceremonial, all the fans, jump upon it, and then it's over.
Yeah. That's what I hope happens, is that no one wins.
I think.
It would just be so much more interesting.
I mean, that would be great. Anything that is not just a normal football game would be great. Mm-hmm. I want the halftime show to be them just wheeling out a bandwagon. And then all the cheerleaders just jump on it,
just destroy it. It comes out and makes a horrible noise.
Yeah, and all the cheerleaders just mob it.
Yeah, from both sides, both teams.
Taylor Swift comes out on the bandwagon. They're just where are the ice skate giants? And it's all the cheerleaders dressed like ice skate giants, and
yeah, I mean,
if only we were in charge of planning the halftime show, man.
Oh yes, I promise it would be nothing like what we drew last year.
No. If you want to see our halftime show from last year,
don't.
Yeah, just imagine something better.
Yeah, but we definitely do a pretty awesome halftime show.
We would. It would be
if we were actually in charge of doing it.
All halftime shows are terrible. I don't know who is doing this year's. I know it's going to be some washed up singer from 100 years ago who's singing stuff that no one cares about, dressed more than mildly inappropriately.
Right.
That's a thing with halftime shows now. It's how rated R can we get and still be in the Super Bowl? And every year they're a little bit more than last year. It's a little bit more,
Yeah. Yeah. If we did the halftime show, it would be great.
Yeah. It would just be us drawing.
We pretend that's what it would be.
No,
if we were actually put in charge, we'd do something pretty cool.
That would be.
I don't know what it would be.
There would be competing bandwagons.
I think it should be a murder mystery show with us just jesters.
Dude, I would totally do that with you. I would dress up as a court jester, my black and white, with my pen.
Yeah.
The actual halftime show person is murdered. We have to investigate the crowd. And who did it? That's right. Taylor Swift.
Yes.
It's always Taylor Swift. It's always Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that would be the best halftime show. How much time do you have for a halftime show?
At least that long.
Yeah, there's plenty of time there.
People would talk about that.
Yeah. For sure.
Because no one's ever happy with the halftime show. But it's because they don't try to branch out.
Yeah.
They don't let the two poor artists do it.
We've never seen a magic show.
Yeah. Magic show murder mystery.
With gestures.
You give people what they want.
Yeah, we can have the guy come out, start singing whatever song he was going to do.
And then they die.
Murdered.
He drinks the poison, and you're like, oh no.
And then we come out.
Who did it?
Do a gesture show.
Yeah, and then a little Blues Clue gathering thing with Steve.
right?
Like we bring him out. You bring Steve from Blue's Clues out at the halftime show, man.
No one's even suggested.
Everyone wants that.
No one's even suggested it.
Yeah, you sing the male song.
Yeah, everyone's talking about SpongeBob.
Yeah,
in the halftime show, but where's the Steve?
You got
Blue's Clues?
Yeah, Mrs. Salt and Mr. Pepper out there, and like a Blue's Clues segment. It would be so weird, and everyone would talk about it and be like, "I wonder what they're going to do next year."
Yeah, why were there jesters?
Yeah,
and Steve
and Blue's Clues.
Yeah,
and a murder mystery.
And then why was Taylor Swift the?
Yeah, like why is it always Taylor Swift every year?
Yeah,
every murder mystery. Mm-hmm. We would do like seriously. Why do they have to do singing? It's so boring.
Yeah,
like one of these days. One of these days, they're going to put us in charge of the Super Bowl halftime show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this, we just told you what we do. Call us up. Like, obviously, it won't be this year. You already have a plan.
Yeah, but next year.
And there's not enough time for us to set this up.
No.
But next year.
Next year. We got time. We got nothing but time.
Just don't watch our upcoming Easter video before you decide.
Or any Easter video that we've ever made.
None of them. I don't know what we're going to do this time, but don't watch it.
All right. It's time.
People that are going to hire us.
Next week, we are going to draw something Super Bowl related because that's what the world demands of poor artists. Mm-hmm. But we'll probably talk about Zelda. Yep. And, I'm really looking forward to rooting for the team that's the best.
I was going to root that they lose, both of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Both of them lose.
Yes.
Because that would be what's best. See you next time.
Bye.
As always, we're surprised you made it this far into our video.
There's no way we could possibly ask you to subscribe to this atrocity, so we won't.
We would say share it with your friends, but it's probably better for wasting your enemy's time.
We're probably not going to get any better, but we will keep drawing.
See you next time.